Welcome to the book of Shmuel, Alef, chapter 30, the story of Tziklag, Perek Lamed, where David was rejected from going to war alongside the rest of the Plishtim to war against Israel. So he's now returning to his city of Tziklag. It's a city that's in the Plishti territory, and David is coming back because he was rejected. He was told by the Plishtim that he is not Plishti enough, and he cannot fight against Bnei Israel because he's going to probably be a traitor and a fifth column to try and hurt the Plishtim. And so they come back home to their town that Achish gave them in the territory of Plishtim, and it's called the city of Tziklag. He comes there, and what does he find when he comes back to his home? He finds that his little city that was the city for him and his 600 militia people is completely burnt down, and the women and children have been taken hostage. And it was Amalek who came and took the people hostage and killed, they didn't kill anyone, they took everyone hostage, they burnt the city down and took the children and women there. Now, there's a very unusual description of David and his people responding to the tragedy of finding their homes burned, their children and wives taken hostage. It says that David and his people cry. Not only do they cry, it says they cry, Vayivku ad asher ein bahem koach livkot. They cry until they have no more strength to cry. And David's two wives, Achinoam and Avigail, have been taken hostage. And people are like David's own militia people are getting so angry with him. They're like, wait, what'd you do? How'd you let such a tragedy happen? And David is like, don't worry, let's fight back, don't worry. And so David calls Eviatar, the son of Achimelech, and he says, bring me the ephod, the Urim v'Tumim. David asks Hashem, should I go chase the Amaleki? And Hashem is like, yes, go and you will succeed. So David goes with 600 people and they come close enough. Now, in every army, you have people who fight, but you also have people who are in logistics, the people who guard the bases, who make the food, etc. So that's what David does. He takes of his 600 people, he takes 400 people to be in the active war, and 200 people to watch their stuff, to take care of everything. They walk, and suddenly they see a body that's alive. What do I mean by a body that's alive? They find someone who's starving and about to die from hunger and thirst. He's an Egyptian young boy. And they say to him, what's going on? But he can't even respond because he's so starved and thirsty. And so David and his people give this kid some water, some bread. They give him some raisins, some figs, and he slowly but surely starts to come back to life. He did not drink for 3 days and for 3 nights. Yikes. He was still alive, hardly. So David and his people kind of rehabilitate this almost dead Egyptian guy. And this Egyptian guy is like slowly waking up, and David says, who are you and what are you doing here? And David says, I'm an Egyptian slave of Amalek, and I've been dropped here in the middle of the field, and we went to the city of Tziklag and burnt it down and took its people hostage. Now, this Egyptian poor guy does not know that David is the guy who lives in Tziklag, and he doesn't know that he just admitted to David that he was part of the gang that burnt Tziklag, the city of David, and that he's part of the gang that helped kidnap the children and the wives of David. And do you think David punishes him? You would think, yeah, oh my gosh, the guy was part of burning Tziklag and taking David's family hostage, etc. David says to him, listen, here's the story. Are you going to show me where your gang is? Are you going to show me where your Amaleki gang that burned my city is? And so the young guy is like, I have a condition. Do you want me to show you where my people are and turn them into you? My condition is I need you to swear by Hashem 2 things. Number 1, that you will not kill me. Number 2, that you will not disclose and give me back to my masters, because they're going to kill me if they find out I turn them in. But if you agree not to do anything to me, and if you agree not to turn me in, then I will show you where Amaleki who kidnapped your family is, Mr. David. And so indeed, the little Egyptian boy that David, not little, but young man, the lad that helped David get to the lad that David resuscitated and brought to life after he was starving shows David where Amaleki is, and he sees the field filled with these people from Amaleki who are drinking and partying. They're so happy. They embezzled and they stole and they looted so much. They're very, very excited, and they're so happy with all of the spoils that they got from the land of Plishtim and the land of Yehudah. And David spoils their party. Yikes! David goes and he strikes the Amaleki. Now, by the way, an interesting question a student of mine once asked. He said, what do you mean? How are there Amalekim now if Shaul, not so long ago, killed all of the Amalekim except for Agag? Something for you to think about. And so David strikes this Amaleki group that burned Tziklag, and he's able to take back all of his stuff. And only of the whole division, that I'm sure there were many thousands of Amalekim, only 400 were able to escape David on camels. David was able to save his wives, and everything that they had stolen from them, David was able to get back. And so David takes not only his own sheep and everything back, but he also takes all the stuff that belongs to the Amalekim. And now we have a debate. If you have spoils of war, who gets them? Do the people who are fighting get them alone? Or also the people who make the food for the army, who guarded the equipment, do they all split it equally? And so David comes back to the 200 people who were guarding their stuff, and they're like, wait, we want to share in the spoils. But the active duty army people are like, wait, you guys didn't fight, we fought. And they're like, it doesn't matter, we're all part of the same team. So, like the bad guys there are like, no, you guys don't get anything. We fought, you didn't fight. But then the people who were guarding the equipment and the backup team, they're like, yeah, but we're part of the army and you wouldn't be able to fight if we weren't here guarding you, right? It's like someone says like a cook in the army is not going to get any spoils because he's just a cook and he's not actually fighting. But it doesn't work like that. David is like, no, sorry. A famous line, Chelek hayored b'milchama, v'chelek hayoshev ala kelim yachdav yochelu. The person who goes to war and the person who sits to watch this stuff, they get the same amount of share, and David makes that the law, that any person in the army, whether you're active combat, not active combat, everyone splits equally. And David then sees all the stuff that these Plishtim, this gang of Plishtim also took from Yehudah, and David sends it back to the people of Yehudah. He's like, here's what was stolen from you guys, and he returns a lot of the stolen stuff that this Amaleki battalion stole from people. That's what's going on with David. And now we're going to turn to chapter 31, Lamed Alef. It's the ultimate chapter, the last chapter of the parak. I know it's very, very, very exciting to come to the end. So we'll see you in next chapter. Just remember, Perek Lamed, David comes back to Tziklag. He finds that his city has been embezzled, burned, his wives taken hostage. They cry, he and his people cry, and they go try and figure out where the Amalekim who did it are. They find the young Egyptian boy who's completely starved and dehydrated. They give him water. He didn't eat or drink for 3 days. They give him water, bread, raisins, etc. And then he says, I was part of that group that looted Tziklag, your city. He says, I'll show you where my people are. The people who did this to you are, on the condition that you don't kill me and don't turn me into my people. And he shows David where it all is. David takes 400 out of his 600 fighters, destroys these Amalekim, takes back all his stuff, finds his family that was taken hostage. Everything is there. And when David goes back, the people who were active duty, some of them are like, wait, we want all the spoils because we fought. But David is like, no, even the people who sat and did other things as part of our army, like watching the stuff, even they also get some of the spoils. They get some of the spoils. And the rest, David returns to Yehudah that had their stuff stolen from them. That brings us to the end of Perek Lamed. Last chapter is Lamed Aleph. Next chapter, very exciting.